Going live.
Oh, we're live. You already know it. What's going on?
I'm tweeting our link right now to make sure people come join us.
You just love to see that.
Join us.
Come now. Come
Come,
one,
come
come
now. Come,
all.
come.
All friends.
Come, come.
And I just love that this recording's not going to work, so I'm going to just have to rip it from YouTube. That is A-okay. All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. We got a new week, and this is a week that we have not played any Warzone, which is kind of wild.
I played a little bit.
All right, I played Fortune's Keep a couple games to experience it, but like from a comparison standpoint, if like compared to what we're playing, pretty much I would say 90% of the time was not in Warzone and it was in Apex.
Apex, baby.
So I think we are a little bit back on our Apex grind, which is not a bad thing. I'm
I
excited
would
about it.
be agreeing to that.
I'm enjoying it. And you know what? We have said from the start that we're going to talk about whatever we're playing that week and whatever we're enjoying. So we got some good
Yep.
Apex content today. The title of today's stream is Apex Legends better than Warzone? And I want to get into that a little bit more because I think there are some pros and cons to each, obviously. A lot more pros for one game than the other. We can talk about that a little bit later. That's going to be our pinned poll in the chat here. If you're joining us, let us know what you think is a better game, either Apex or Warzone. But Matt, why don't you take us through some of the headlines from the last week?
Let's go headlines. So starting off, honestly, it's kind of dry. I mean, or at least nothing. Honestly, here's the deal for both of us. I think we both want to talk about what we're interested in. And also, I think that translates to what other people are interested in. I think the first thing that I saw this week, Sony just released gaming headsets and monitors. And what I found a little interesting about that too is that they're geared toward PS5, not toward Xbox, obviously with Microsoft, but also PC. So they're targeting PC players too.
Well, and
Um,
that's a good thing. And actually, what's interesting too, and you see this with other tech companies, you know, specifically like with SteelSeries. I think Astro might be the same way. But the way that Xbox actually does their tech, I think it's a little bit different from a connection standpoint
yeah.
than it is for both PlayStation and PC, which is a little strange. It's not something that I would actually have guessed, knowing that Microsoft makes both Windows, which runs your PC, and Xbox. But my point here is that every time you get like a new wireless headset, you can choose between the PS5 and PC version or an Xbox version.
Yeah.
So I think they're obviously playing that up quite a bit and going to take that into their advantage. So I think it's a great move by them.
It's kind of funny because like I didn't realize until like we started this podcast that like it's literally just back and forth where they're just like doing different things to try to gain an advantage. It's
I
cool
can do
though.
anything, you can do better.
Yeah, it's cool. Um, I think honestly, as far as headlines, that's pretty much it. But
This
you did,
real quick though. Hold on,
yeah.
I'm looking at this at these monitors. I'm actually, you know, the headsets are interesting. They look kind of weird. If I'm being completely frank,
They look,
they're like,
but they look like the controllers almost.
yeah,
Like it's kind
they're
of
white
on
and
brand with
black.
the PlayStation.
It
Yeah.
looks like a big white just ear cup, which is fine.
Mhm.
It's got, I'm trying to see, features noise canceling. So it doesn't say if this is active noise canceling or not. I would imagine it is. I mean, these are the H3, the H7 and the H9 headphones are $99, $229, and $299 respectively. I would imagine in the top of the line one probably has active noise canceling, and I would assume it's also wireless. Yeah, I think the two, the H7 and the H9, look like they're wireless. So yeah, I'm curious to see how these are. Both 2.4 gigahertz wireless and Bluetooth connections, which 2.4 gigahertz wireless is great because it comes with that little dongle and it's super fast. That's what I'm using right now. I think it's great. Yeah, this is awesome. The monitors are actually interesting though because it looks like, I mean, they're expensive for
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
but they have a 27-inch 4K monitor for $900,
Mm.
which comparatively, I mean, I would say 900 for a 4K monitor is pretty
Yeah,
decent price. I mean, just in
yeah.
today's market at least. Um, it looks like a any other monitor. I mean, it has that PlayStation vibe. The interesting piece of
Oh, for
this
sure.
is that it has the HDMI 2.1, which if you want variable refresh rate with the high frame rate gaming of the PS5 or Xbox Series X, you need an HDMI 2.1, and a lot of today's monitors don't actually have that integrated. So
Mm.
that would be because console doesn't support DisplayPort, which still shocks me that it doesn't support DisplayPort.
Hmm.
But all it looks good. I mean, they look like competitive monitors. I'd be curious to see what some of the tech testers come out with when they get their hands on these and what people are saying after it's released. But I think this is a great move for them because they've never really made a step into the
It makes sense.
like the console specific gaming market, especially with a lot of
Yeah.
people now playing console on monitors. It makes
Well,
total sense.
I think to me it kind of represents a little bit of a shift because you think about I think consoles were so much marketed toward like families
Yep.
initially when they came out. Now it's kind of shifting into like, there's people like me and you that ended up building a PC, but a console is a cheaper option mostly. But it's like, hey, if you still, I mean, well, I don't know, with a $900 monitor, people are probably not going to buy a $900 monitor with their console. But
A
I
monitor
mean,
that's over twice the amount of money as
like,
your console.
but people are still like so hooked. I mean, it took how many years for me to switch over to PC? I
Yeah.
mean, literally console my whole life. So, I mean, I could have seen myself getting a monitor. I mean, I played with a monitor with just a console for a little bit,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
um,
I think you and I both switched to playing on monitor like very similar timing.
yeah,
Because I mean, I played on a 65-inch TV from my couch for
yeah,
a while on Warzone, and then I switched to monitor, and I was like, "Oh
it's
shit!"
so much better. You
Like,
just
whoa,
you can't beat it.
this is a lot
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think that this will. I think this will be a pretty decent monitor. Who knows how it's going to compare to like an Alienware or Samsung or something like that. That is
Hmm.
like known as top of the line tech in the monitor space. But I'm curious to see what they come out with and how this performs. They definitely have my attention. I'm not saying that I'm going to get one, but I'll at least pay attention to it and see, how it performs.
Hmm. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
And actually, on the Sony note too, have you heard about the rumors that Sony is also going to be coming out with a PS5 Pro controller similar to the Xbox Elite controller?
No, but they should.
I absolutely agree with you. I mean, it's ever
They
since
have Scuff for PS5, don't they?
they do now, yeah. But PlayStation's never had a Pro controller like Microsoft made for Xbox. If you want something with paddles on the back and the digital triggers and all of that, you have to go through a third-party company like a Scuff
Hmm.
or like a Battle Beaver who makes controllers as well. Um, so I think this is also a good move for them. I mean, you think about how successful Microsoft is with selling the Elite controllers.
Yeah,
The one thing I would say is please make them more durable than Microsoft did with the Elite controllers. Yeah, you've got yours on screen there. I used to have one. Um,
I've been through like three of them,
yeah,
and
that's the biggest question is the durability.
yeah,
Um, so it's been I think long stated ever since PS5 came out. When was that? A year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. That the PlayStation 5 controller is wildly impressive. It's probably the best controller on the market, just from a technical standpoint, and just the way that it's built and how it feels in your hand and the
yeah.
responsiveness of it. Um, so I definitely think they have a huge opportunity to expand the market with controllers just for them, because I feel like a lot of people don't get PS5 controllers just because of the fact that they can't get a pro version of it unless they go with Scuff. So um, Curious what pricing on that will look like, and ultimately the end game features. But they definitely said paddles on the back, digital triggers, all of that. I'm excited. I think that's going to be fun. Maybe one day I'll get my hands on a PS5 controller.
That would also maybe require you to have a PS5.
Oh, you can use PlayStation controller on a computer.
You know what? That makes sense.
Yeah,
No, you're right.
you just plug it in just like you do your Xbox controller. It's no different.
I prefer Xbox controllers.
I do too. I mean, that's just because that's what I've always
Same.
played. And it's natural for me to have the offset stick position on a controller just because that's muscle memory for me.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I'd be curious just to see how it feels in the hand and at least try it out. Just to compare it with the Xbox controller.
Can I bring up something that you sent me?
You absolutely may. The floor is
Do you have
yours.
the graphic?
I do. I'll pull it up right here.
Pull it up. Okay. I think we need to chat about this because as soon as you sent it to me, I'm like, not that there's a debate. Well, I mean, I guess you could debate, but I just think this is fascinating. So we're talking about highest selling games of all time, and honestly, it's not even close.
And this is based off of units sold.
Units sold, but I mean, here's the deal. I guess I shouldn't really be all that surprised because I've known for a while that Minecraft
I
has
was gonna
sold
say,
a lot.
does this surprise
But
you? This I saw this list and I was not surprised at all.
but that's really cool. I mean, Minecraft has incredible staying power. And
Yes.
Tetris for that matter.
I mean, think about the demo of Minecraft though. You can target little kids with an Xbox and they can play Minecraft for hours, or
You know what's funny?
you've got your massive creators that are just variety streamers and doing Minecraft. Then you have your competitive Minecraft creators who are streaming to 15,000 people at a time, and
Yeah.
they're just doing like random Minecraft events, which if you've ever seen those are amazing. They're awesome to watch.
Yeah.
Like you will just get hooked by watching that. So
I've always liked Minecraft.
I have too. We used to play Minecraft.
Hmm.
It's a fun game. I think it's just because it is literally so open world. Anybody can pick it up and have a good time with it. It's like Legos in a
It
video game.
literally is like it just speaks to your inner child because it's literally building blocks on steroids and you can do like whatever you want with it.
It's like Jenga and Legos and Lincoln Logs all mixed into a video game.
It'd be true.
It'd be true.
Okay. Moving on. So Tetris number 2. PUBG, honestly, pretty cool that PUBG is third.
No. PUBG is 5th. This is going left, right, left, right, left, right.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on.
So
hold
number
on.
two-
I only have half my screen up. Okay.
Number 2 is Grand Theft Auto 5. So
Okay.
Minecraft has 238 million units sold, and Grand Theft Auto 5 has 165 million at number 2. So they have them beat out by 73 million units. If my math holds on that, everyone knows I'm not good at math.
35 plus 38, 73.
I did it right. Go me.
Nice.
So like that's a big jump. But also it doesn't surprise me that GTA 5 is the second highest game on this list.
Because it's been out for 12 years.
Because it's been around for so long.
Hold on. GTA 5 release date.
What was it, like 2013 or something?
You nailed it.
Did I really?
Yeah,
I love
2013.
that. So yeah, you think about it, it's been around for 9 years. We're still waiting on GTA 6. They just keep remastering GTA 5 for each different console.
Hilarious.
And the popularity of GTA roleplay on Twitch, I think, plays a big portion of the sales of this. The fact that they have withstood different versions of consoles is a big piece of that as well.
Yeah.
And having, starting, you can play it on an Xbox 360, and then your Xbox One comes out. You have to get it for Xbox One. And it's like, oh, there's Xbox Series X or Series S, and you got to get it for your next gen console. So, I mean, you think about it, it's possible that the same person has bought this at least 3 times just for having different generations of consoles. Um, so I think that in and of itself goes to show how impressive this Minecraft number really is.
Yeah. I wonder how long Minecraft has been out though.
I don't know. You're gonna have to look that one up too. Um, okay,
I'm doing it.
number
2011, so only 2 years before.
yeah, that's a Minecraft is a huge game. And I'd be curious to know if this also counts for mobile downloads. Um,
I
I
don't know.
would imagine it does, but Minecraft is also available in the App Store on Google Play, so like more platforms that you can play it on. So something to keep in mind. Tetris is number 3 at 100 million. I don't know if this is all versions of
That's gotta
Tetris
include mobile.
or if it's like, well, I mean, think about how many Tetris games there have been.
Yeah.
Like, when did Tetris first come out?
Mm.
Wii Sports is at number 4 at almost
1984.
yeah, yeah. So like, what versions of Tetris does this include? If all of them, if not all of them, that's what I'm curious about. Wii Sports is at number 4 at almost 83 million. PUBG's at 75 million. Super Mario Brothers is at 58 million. Mario Kart 8.
I think it's infinite.
Okay, Mario Kart Infinite. Oh yeah, you're right. It just looks like an 8 because they twist it weird.
Also,
Is
Pokemon, red, green, blue, and yellow, all
7
four.
the original 4 Pokemon games.
Love those games.
Which that doesn't surprise me that this is on this list of the original 4, and I'm glad they specified those 4.
Yeah.
Terraria. I've never played Terraria. I don't even know what it's about, if I'm being completely honest.
I have no idea either.
I would imagine it's about a terrarium and it's some kind of like puzzle adventure game. And then Red Dead Redemption 2 is at 44 million. So list that honestly, if you were to ask me what games were on this list and I had to guess blind, I for sure would have gotten Minecraft, GTA, Super Mario, and Pokemon.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
other
don't
than
think I would
that,
have guessed the rest of them.
everything else would probably kind of wild cards. I would not have guessed Red Dead. Terraria for sure not.
Wii Sports.
Definitely not Wii Sports. Tetris probably wouldn't have come to mind. PUBG kind of surprises me that it's that high up. And then Mario Kart, I might have just said Mario Kart in general, not necessarily Mario Kart Infinite. But very interesting there. So curious your thoughts. Let us know down in the comments. What games do you think are should be on this list and that you were surprised didn't actually make this list? We're definitely interested to know what you guys think on this one.
We currently have 4 votes on the poll.
And 100% are for yes. Am I reading that right?
100% is that
Yes.
Apex Legends is a better game than Warzone. And so I'm going to transition straight into Call of Duty. And let's talk about, okay, one, I have a headline, and I'm going to start there. And then I think we should talk some Fortune's Keep impressions.
Let's do it.
But, okay, the first one, I don't know if you got a chance to look, but basically, I think COD, we've been kind of saying this as time goes on, and this is still a good sign. And it just seems that they are listening to feedback. So you had sent me this. I think you had sent me this tweet. Raven Software basically tweeted and just said, "We've heard what you want to end season. We've heard you want to end season 3 with our beloved Rebirth. We're updating the playlist to include all Rebirth Resurgence squad sizes, replacing Caldera Resurgence until season 4 arrives at 9." So this is last week. They that was like within 24 hours. Like they changed back to make sure they were probably hemorrhaging players.
They had to have been. They had to have been.
Yeah. So yeah, they got Rebirth back. But let's go into Fortune's Keep. So how many games did you play?
Half a dozen probably.
Probably about the same for me.
Yep.
Impressions.
I would say it's better than Caldera, 100%.
Ooh.
For me personally, I do think it's actually pretty comparable with Rebirth from just a map perspective. Um, I like the different areas in the map where you can go into the keep, and it has that huge building feel like the prison on Rebirth, but it is a little bit more spread out. There's a lot more jump spots. There's so many jump spots on this map for you to learn. That was one of like the first things that I noticed. Down in the city or town area, I can't remember the POI. Um, it reminds me of a multiplayer map. It actually 100% reminds me of Favela from Modern Warfare 2 in all the
Yes.
previous CODs. Um, it kind of brought back a little bit of memories just from those maps, which was fun. But I wasn't terribly impressed with how it was laid out. It's just it's closer quarters downtown from Verdansk with that favela type map feel. If that makes
Okay.
any sense at all.
It does. It does. If you played it, it does.
Um,
Um,
so that was cool. I think there's the area over by the winery actually was less spread out than I was expecting it to be. It doesn't feel as big when you're
mhm,
actually playing it than it looks on the map. So that was one of the things that I noticed. And I actually did, I had a couple games end over there. And I will say, end game is pretty slow because the circles are dying out so quickly. Just because the map is so large, there's not very many people in the lobby, which they need to increase that. Another one of my first impressions was that the games are pretty slow,
mhm.
but you have time to position yourself where you want to be for the end game, and you don't really have to worry about that super quick thinking of like, okay, I gotta here's this guy, that guy, and I gotta figure out exactly where I want to go. It's just more of a you have time to process. And Rebirth is not like that. Rebirth is very much it's 1, 2, 3, 4, go.
So I get that. I felt like Fortune's Keep was too busy. It's um
It all depends
I
on where you drop
I
or
am
what
not
area of the map you're in.
saying I'm not saying that I don't like Fortune's Keep because I think in general I think the map is pretty well done. I mean, it's a cool map. Uh but they kind of got rid of the 3-lane system which makes there you kind of alluded to it. There's so many doors, there's so many windows, there's so many jump spots that for me I'm like for me I'm good because I'm good with movement. Like that plays to my play style, but it's just so much and it's so chaotic to me. Like especially in I guess it's what's it called? The main POI. Is it keep?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's just so much, and especially if you're getting, like, chased.
Yeah, there's a lot. There were a couple times where I had a guy drop in just like literally right on my back because he came through a window that I didn't even know was there. And
Yeah.
that comes with the territory of playing a new map. I mean, ultimately
Yeah.
you just have to put the time in to gain the map knowledge in order to know where all of those spots are. And once you get that down, I mean, think about Rebirth. When you first started playing Rebirth, you didn't like it. And I had to
True.
drag you into those lobbies.
True.
But now you know the map, you've got all the knowledge there, and you're liking it quite a bit more. So I would say over time, I think
Yeah.
people are going to continue to learn these areas on Fortune's Keep, and I think they're going to like it a lot more. But the question is, with them now going to be rotating the maps after what I think it was July 21st when they start rotating maps or something like
Yeah.
that. Um, is there going to be like a clear difference in the amount of players on the weeks that there's Rebirth Island versus Fortune's Keep? I'm very curious of that number. And I don't
Yep.
think they'll ever share it. I think the only way that they would
No.
share it is if Fortune's Keep numbers were higher than Rebirth. And I
Mm.
don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, what are you thinking on Fortune's Keep? Like, what are the pieces that you think they did well, and where would you have liked to see something done differently?
I think the 3-lane system because I feel like there is a pretty smooth, transition. I think that's something they could have done better
Okay.
in terms of like I said, I like the map. I think the map is like well done. I don't think the rotations. One of the concerns that we talked about was I felt like it would be hard to rotate between different POIs,
Hmm.
but I think they did pretty good with the cover and all sorts of stuff like that. The high ground. It's not like um I don't think there's anywhere really that you can get trapped, or at least not in my. I haven't gotten trapped or
Yeah.
anything like that yet. Just trying to rotate. Also, but I think in terms of like the flow, like you're talking about, I don't think there's enough players in the lobby really to like. I wasn't ever running from the storm.
No.
I'll put it that way. We
No.
weren't fighting enough to where I got stuck somewhere fighting and then had to rotate into the storm
Yeah. I
away.
agree. I think to start, I think just by solving, or I think by doing this, they would solve a few problems or a few concerns of people, and I think they just need to increase the lobby size.
Yeah,
Um, I think that will mitigate the end game circles or the final circle being like the third circle. I mean, I saw games I was watching, like while I was working during the day. I watched Teep a lot, and when I was watching him, there was one of the games that he played. Literally, the second circle was 1v1.
the second circle.
Yeah,
That's nuts.
and I mean, granted, Teep fries almost every lobby that he's in, so it's a little bit different. But
Hmm.
like, you're not going to be running into that problem if you increase the player count.
Yeah.
Um, so
Did
how?
you?
Sorry, go ahead.
Go, no, go ahead. Finish your question, and I'll ask mine.
I was going to transition to the weapons because I wanted to know what you
Yeah.
thought of the new weapons.
So I didn't really. Well, that was what I was going to ask you if you picked any up,
Yeah,
because
yeah. The
I think I picked up like one or two. I will say I saw a build for one of those LMGs. It was a new LMG, and it literally did not move.
Yeah, so
Uh,
the Macro 5 is the new SMG,
yeah.
and that thing is a demon. Um I picked up the gold one on the ground a couple times, and I was shredding with it. I
Hmm.
immediately went to a tempered class after once I saw that early game. I kept that the entire game. Played with
Hmm.
temper, um, and that thing it shreds. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a good combination. It feels like a combination between the Armaguerra and the Blixen. Has a little bit
Huh.
lower fire rate as from the Armaguerra, but I think it shreds just as much as it. And I mean, the Blixen was better than the Armaguerra. I just personally didn't like the feel of it. Um,
Hmm.
so that is a big piece that was it has a lot of people talking, and
Yeah.
the dual akimbo. The fact that you can do akimbo on this SMG is just dumb. I mean, I saw videos. I haven't used them myself. I've seen videos where people are just shredding with them. Um, and honestly, I haven't looked at any nerfs or anything. I don't know if they've nerfed them yet. I don't think they have. Um, but that's just one piece. I'm like, why are you doing
Gotta
that?
have something to
Gotta have something to get the
make
talk up.
people come mess around in the game or
Yeah,
something to talk about. Yeah.
yeah. But to your point, the new LMG is I think it's the build with the burst barrel actually that is the one that
Yeah.
does not move. And
Yeah.
it's I don't know. To me, I'm not a fan of burst weapons personally. So I still wouldn't use it even though I know it doesn't move. And
Mm.
honestly, with the NZ, I mean the NZ is still a problem. Um, but the NZ I didn't necessarily like it as much when it first got the buff and it first became really good because it doesn't move.
Hmm.
For me, I'm so used to controlling recoil, and like I almost enjoy using the guns that naturally have a little bit more recoil. Like
Hmm.
the AMAX was the one that was my pride and
Yeah.
joy during that meta. I used that all the
Yeah.
time, and I could control it. And the bar, most recently, is what I've been using, which it traditionally has a little bit
Big
more
recoil
recoil.
guy.
So I'm like, I don't like I don't necessarily want to just be using something that's a laser that like if I go to control the recoil, I just am losing my aim because I'm so used to
Yeah.
controlling it.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a whole thing. Um, I don't know. I don't think they're gonna nerf the LMG. I think they should at least get the recoil up a little bit. But like from a damage perspective, like yeah, an LMG should smack you in the face. Like it
Yeah.
should be a high damage weapon. So that doesn't surprise me. Mobility should be into the ground, and there should be a little bit more recoil.
Yeah. uh, yeah, I don't know. I haven't really got my hands on enough of it. I think I picked up the macro like twice, but that was about it. I don't have enough to say about them.
Yeah.
We will see.
Let's get into what what we want to talk about.
Let's
And
talk
in
about the game that's giving me energy, that's giving me life right
well,
now.
in the topic of today's discussion, it's our title on YouTube, it's the title of the podcast episode, and it's a live poll that we've got in chat. So if you're watching, be sure to weigh in here. Is Apex Legends better than Warzone?
You know what?
100% of you in chat have said yes. I'm going to go ahead and add another vote to that. I think Apex overall is a better experience than Warzone. And I'm curious, what do you think?
Oh my gosh. I think that we can honestly talk about this pretty in depth because
We can.
um
100% we
be-
can.
because I think like me before we started playing Apex again, because I was so used to playing COD, um would have said COD, or it at least would have been a big debate because I hadn't played Apex in a little bit, and I would have had to kind of go back and forth between the two. And let me tell you, the reason I have only played a few games on Fortress Keep is because I'm so addicted to Apex right now. Like I got into Fortune's Keep, and I was like, yeah, yeah. Like I honestly like, I think I had like an 8 or 10 kill Fortune's Keep game, and like did pretty well. But like, I don't know what it is about Apex. It's just so satisfying. Whether that's the ranked grind,
hmm
because there is a clear reward for you playing well in this game, staying alive, and living through circles.
That's what
Clear,
that's what brings me
clear
back
reward.
every time. The
That is
ranked.
a very big driver,
hmm
but also just the feel of the game in general. Like I said this, I think, as we were playing, but like, okay, so if you play Apex, the armory would have been a thing. Like I keep thinking of things that like Call of Duty added in and comparing the two, and I feel like I would have made fun of an armory and COD. But at the same time, though, I don't know. I feel like COD just adds like some stupid shit. Like the partnership is cool with King Kong and Godzilla. I get that. But like when that
It's a
becomes the
cash
main
grab.
point of your season,
We've
it's a
talked about
cash
it.
grab. And you know what? Here's the thing. God, I have some of these. I'm not going into professional conversations,
Go
but
off, King.
there's this whole altruistic thing around this, I think, because I feel like as a player of this game, they're just trying to reach so hard, and it's like this weird like dynamic of almost not feeling lied to, but it's just like this doesn't even really make sense for the game. Like,
hmm
are you really doing what's best for the players? Like, do you really actually
they're
care
making
about what the
bank.
players wanting? Yeah. So like there's this weird altruistic, I haven't even thought about that till literally right now, but that like I think about that in terms of career too, and there's yeah, I'm not gonna talk about that, but um anyway, so Sean says skill gap is so much higher. You want to get better because you can see the results in front of you. And I completely agree with that because you do feel like you're getting better in Apex and you have to put work in. Like another thing would be the difference in the characters.
hmm
Each character has their own abilities. And like I have just gone straight bloodhound for like pretty much. But
Yeah,
like
you've always been
it
Bloodhound. I think you did a bat with Seer when you were still playing on Xbox, but then
yeah,
you lost the Seer skin when you started on PC and just back to Old Faithful. And it works
yeah.
out.
But it takes some practice and it
hmm
takes some skill to do that. And also, I will say there's a whole nother element too in your team, like in your trio of using different characters. And we kind of talked about that last week, I think, about like each ability, like kind of benefiting the team in different ways and learning to use that, like using each ability as a team. And that's like how we play COD, we worked really well together as a
hmm
team.
hmm
Me, you, Joe, Matt. Sean, and that's fun. But like when you have to use specific abilities in order to like win fights and stuff like that, like it becomes so much more. It gives the game so much more depth.
Yeah, I think the depth is actually a really good way to describe it, because there are so many more layers to this, and
Yeah,
to every single gunfight. Because in Call of Duty, if you are the better person from a gunfight perspective, but you don't have the positioning, I mean, you can still win it.
yeah,
In Apex, positioning is key, but then
yeah.
you have to add in one, your skill level. And Sean mentioning the skill gap is a very real thing. I mean, I
Yeah.
went through the ringer for the first couple days on Apex when I was trying to do it on keyboard and mouse, and um, finally rage quit and went back to controller, and I could actually shoot again. Um, but then you've got also, what legends you have on your team and what legends you're going up against. I mean, if you've got three very aggressive legends coming at you, then you have to keep that in mind. So it's like, as you're looking for people, you're also trying to see what skins they're using and which legend
Uh,
they are, so you can mentally prepare for each gunfight.
but
And
you gotta like there's a balance to that
mhm.
though,
Oh yeah,
because if you have three different aggressive legends, like I was talking about this. Sorry, I'm cutting off your train of thought, but
oh no, you're good.
if you have like a Valk that can do like the missiles, but also is part movement because it's got you can ult out with the jetpack
Hmm.
and flying, and you can identify targets in the air. It's got kind of a mix of like an attack, but also kind of passive in that like you can escape and kind of reposition. But
Yeah,
what where that plays into different gunfights, you're talking about positioning. There's a lot more like strategy in that. Um, say you're trying to push really hard, but you're pushing against a caustic in a building. Well, the caustic can lock down the building with a bunch of gas traps, and basically gas you out. Versus like I don't know. It just depends on where you are in the map. Like
hmm,
you have to figure out which characters you're going against, and then kind of play it that way. And you can kind of flip the advantage depending on where you are. Like if you have positioning in COD, if you're a Valk, you can just ult out and reposition, and
yeah.
then you've got the advantage. Or like I'm thinking of that fight by the beach when
It was end game,
you
and
were
I'm Ash.
Ash,
Yeah,
and we were fighting like three teams. We cleared out one team from the building. The other team didn't push us,
we went from rooftop
so
to rooftop.
we killed and you just yeah. And seriously, they would have had the advantage because if we had to rotate on the beach, there wasn't a whole lot of cover.
No,
So you went straight to the rooftop, and we just annihilated
yeah.
that team.
I think that's where we have found our stride in, at least when myself, you, and Sean have been playing, between me using Ash, you and Bloodhound, and then Sean switching back and forth between Valkyrie and Seer.
Mhm.
I, both, I think, have very different dynamics when Sean's playing the different legends, but
Yeah,
both combos work for us,
yeah,
because it changes our playstyle a little bit. But that's just what you have to do in this game, and you have to know who's on your team, who has what alts at what time, and it just, you have to have more communication, because there are so many more layers that go into it, and it's such a more rewarding experience when you see your RP going up each game, and you see your levels going up, and you're actually having something to show for all the time and effort and the practice essentially that you're putting into it, that it makes you want to come back for more.
God, who was it? And like, I think my point again, like going back to what even what legends you choose is important because I think um God, we just had a miserable. I think it was Saturday morning. It's like
It was me, you, and Joe. It's so bad.
you, and Joe, and it was just awful.
I
God,
hated every second of it.
I was Bloodhound. What were you?
I'm at Ash. I'm Ash all the time. I'm a
You were
Ash main.
Ash.
But that was the morning that I switched from keyboard and mouse to controller.
Well, true. And then what was Joe?
Joe's Wraith.
Joe's Wraith. See, and I kind of like made the point like we almost have like too much movement there, not really any attack because like
Yeah, I played one.
they,
I played one game as Gibby, and it did not go very well. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go back to Ash because I'm still learning this game, and I'm
yeah,
not gonna stray away from my path. But like, yeah, you
yeah.
brought up a really good point where that
Like
combo of the three wasn't necessarily working.
Wraith is more of like you can escape with her passive or whatever it is. Not the ult, but the other one. Whatever it is. You can escape with both. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
essentially you enter the void or do a portal. And then Wraith kind of the same
But
with the slash, it's
with
movement.
with the portal, Ash is essentially the same thing because I can cut a portal
Right, your
with
two
the
portals.
sword. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it
Yeah.
does the same thing. The only difference is that I can't go back. Like with
Yeah.
Wraith, you can go back and forth between the two. Mine is just one way movement.
Yeah.
But I like the different dynamic that Ash gives you because it's it's more of like a scout
Mhm.
legend because you
Mhm.
can, if there's a box on the ground, you can mark it and it'll ping your enemies um, on the map wherever they are, and then
Mhm.
your passive is just the fact that you can see the death boxes on the mini map. So like
Mhm.
as we're going into a new area, I can see as a death box appears, it's like I know, okay, somebody just died there. We need to be prepared to move into a fight here.
And then
Um,
I can scan and figure out where exactly they
yeah,
are.
you
Yeah.
can scan it. I can get us high ground with my alt and Ash, just cutting the void into the whatever position we want. And Sean, I mean, it's worked actually really well when Sean's been Valkyrie, and I think Valk is probably one of the most balanced player or balanced legends
Mhm.
because it has the movement factor with the alt, and as he jumps, he can just hit his jetpack.
Mhm.
But when you go into the alt, you can scan and see everybody around you, and then you have the missiles that you can fire too. So
Yeah.
it's like such a good combo.
Mhm.
Um, that seeing Sean play it for the last few days, I'm like, oh yeah, that works.
Mhm. It's useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about with like having an attacking whatever the missiles. I mean, because if we're getting in a fight and we have to back up a little bit, he can just shoot off the missiles and kind of ward people. It kind of just stops a
Hmm.
team if they're trying to like push us hard.
Gives you a little
Uh,
time.
yeah, it gives you a second. But anyway, so hold on. I want to see what else I had on here
So
because I want to make sure they hit.
season 13
Oh,
split
yeah.
was today. So the rank system essentially reset itself today. You don't essentially go back to zero. I did because I'm such a low level. But you just go down a tier, as Sean was explaining to me earlier.
Yeah.
But with that comes a new map. And actually, I think I'm going to be a lot
An old map.
better. I'm going to be a lot better this split because I know World's Edge. Because
We used to.
this was
Yeah.
the map that we played when we played, what was that, like 7 months ago or something?
Yeah.
So I already feel more comfortable because I know the rotations and I've already had a couple really good games on this where
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, this feels like home to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm all about World's Edge.
So I want to bring up a couple of things that I didn't even realize that they did with the split. Um, One, they lowered the cost of entry per game, but they made it varied per tier, which makes sense.
Hmm.
Like it costs, yeah, I can pull it up, but I mean, it just basically the higher you go in rank, it costs more to get into games. Uh, I like that.
Yeah, I
Um,
like that too. I think it makes sense.
yeah,
And I think it always was that way, wasn't it? It's just not as drastic now.
I think so. Because they just lowered it.
Yeah, they lowered it for every category, but it's still a tiered approach to it.
Also, what they did do as well is they made it higher RP for if you get between 7 and 12 kill range, which God just does not happen often. But I remember having I think I had an 8 and I had 11 kill game, and I
Mhm.
remember my RP just being nuts. It was like over 300, and I was like, oh my God, like because usually you can do a 4 kill game, and it's like um I don't know. If you win, even if you win the game, it's
You get
like
like a
200 something.
yeah.
Like,
There've been, I would say, for most of the games that I've done well, I'm between like a 100 and I think 250 is probably the most RP I've gotten so far.
Hmm.
But I'm the lowest level in our team because I've been playing the longest. But Sean said he said that they reduced it by about 10 points across the board for everybody. So
Yeah.
um, makes sense. And honestly, I think it's good. We'll see how if we can really tell a big difference. Um,
Okay. The reason or why I could think it could be a
I
big
know where
difference
you're
is
going with
because
this.
when we have Saturdays, like the Saturday that we had, and
Yeah,
we just have like 10 games where you lose like for me, I was losing like 38 RP per
everyone. Yeah,
game plus the buy-in. Oh my God. I went down like at least a level, not like gold to silver. I was like silver 1 and I think I was down to like silver 3.
and it'll make you feel a little bit less bad when I decide to be jump master for a game and completely screw up the jump and kill myself right off the rip.
Drop
Uh,
into literally on a mountain where
that was
Kevin.
not good. We were going over a mountaintop. I messed up the timing of the jump just because it's not muscle memory for me quite yet. Um, and we were about halfway down, and I go, "Oh no, did I screw this up?"
And you go out of bounds on the mountain, you
Yeah,
die. I drop. I like basically do a 180 so that I can drop on some loot because I'm like, oh no, this is terrible.
yeah.
I land directly on a team that already had just picked up the loot and they just annihilate me. And then I don't know what happened to Sean. I bet he did basically the same. I
It's
think he went down the butthole and, and
yeah,
died.
yeah. The big hole right there.
Uh,
But it was. I felt like I just deserved to just sit there and wait and watch you guys play. You ended up surviving and playing for like 20, 25 minutes. So I just sat there.
um,
And that's the one
so
thing that, whether you love it or you hate
parking
it
place.
about Apex, is that there's no way to buy yourself back. It's you are on a timer, and if you don't recover your teammate's banner in however many minute or however many seconds, I think it's like 90
Mhm.
seconds that you have, and then the time that you're holding the banner to the actual recovery banner or the
Yeah, the beacon,
thank you, yeah.
yeah.
Um, it's like that adds another layer there too, and you got to be strategic. And teams know that if they knock two of your boys and you get away, you're going to be trying to come back, and there's only a
Yeah,
limited amount of time, so they can camp your box.
yeah.
So it's interesting. I like the dynamic that it adds to that, and you can't just do a full on regain like you can in Warzone.
And you know what's also interesting too is that there's a little bit of balance there because you have to make a choice, like
Yeah,
whether I sometimes I'll pose this just because I'm like bored, and I'll be like, all right, do we want to be entertaining or are we doing RP plays? Like,
yeah.
do you guys want entertainment? Because I'll go in there and try to kill an entire team by myself. Uh,
Well, and when you're grinding RP and trying to level up, typically the smarter way to go about that would be to survive and
and
get your
that's
placement bonus.
And that's where the balance is
Mm-hmm.
too, because I think you in that choice, in that there's still almost a reward for the team because you're still going to gain RP if you survive. So as much as it sucks that your boys are out, like then you're just waiting and hoping that your buddy can last as long as he can, and then still get you RP and still get you positive RP.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just continuing to add to the depth of the game, which I love.
um,
And you could make the argument that it would be a better experience in the non-ranked to allow you to buy your teammates back, just so it's a little
mm,
bit more of a practice, and then keep ranked a little bit separate, and you can't do that. I think it's an interesting topic for discussion, but what they've been doing works. They've been doing it for years, and we're what 13 seasons in now. Season 14 is
that's
coming
crazy
in
to think
August.
about.
That we had talked about. So there's there's a lot of really good stuff happening in this game, and it's not dying out. I think the popularity is just continuing to grow, which we talked about last week.
Um, last portion, I want to ask you because I don't know what your update is, but what is your favorite loadout I know your character choice.
Mhm.
What's your favorite loadout now? Or like maybe like 2 to 3 guns, like or combination that you're doing right now.
I'll give you my top 4 with an
Okay.
honorable mention.
Okay.
Um, Early game honorable mention. I've been having a lot of fun with the longbow,
It's very silly. It hits extremely hard,
and it's
but
only because it hits so hard, and you can just terrorize people if you have other people shooting at them. You pop them for 50 to 100, and then it's an assist machine essentially.
yeah.
Um, that's an honorable mention. Just like super early game, if I land on it, like I'll pick it up and try and pop someone off.
Okay.
Um, Ultimately, what I'm looking for is R301 every single time, and either an R99 or a car. And I've enjoyed having the car in the crafting machine because I know every game I can guaranteed get that. But if I find the R99, I actually do prefer the R9 a little bit more. Um, so if I find it early, I'll stick with it. Otherwise, I'll just craft a car and use that, and I'm happy either way. Um, I do like the little dynamic that the car adds, being able to use both heavy and light ammo and magazines. So like if I find a gold or a purple heavy mag, I'll just like
Yeah.
go with the car.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other one, which you've kind of put me onto this, the Spitfire
Ah.
is one that I do enjoy. Um, but typically I'll either decide to go Spitfire in R3
Mhm.
or go R3 in either the R99 or car, just kind of depending how I'm feeling. Those are like the 4 that I keep in my main rotation, and I'm happy if I've got any of those 4, any combination of those 4 in my hands at any given point. Um, and that's another little added layer to this game where you're not guaranteed a loadout every time. A
Mhm.
perfect example of this, we were playing, what was it, yesterday? And literally the entire game, I was looking for an R301 and I never found one. So I went the entire game without it.
I will say because I've always liked the R3, but just my play style, like it's very interesting that you do like you'll run like 2 lights with an R3 and an R9 because in
I
my
will.
mind, I will pick one or the other. Like if I'm gonna that's gonna be my light weapon. So
And it's
I
it's
use
gotten me into trouble, but
yeah.
typically I don't have an issue with it.
I will say I got a gold R3 and that basically served, I think it was serving as like my AR. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
like short to mid and was very effective. But yeah, I don't know. It's harder because you do have a lot of I feel like you have a lot of drop off on it because like I don't think you're getting a whole lot of distance. I mean, you know better than I would because I
It's
don't
more
usually go that far in the game
no,
with it.
it's more the mid short range, and I mean that's what with Ash, that's the play style. Is
Yeah.
you're using your alt to push into people and get on top of them, and you're not trying to fight from a distance from them.
Yeah.
So I think that combo matches pretty well with my play style. Um, the one wild card that I did actually like quite a bit when we were playing however many months ago, and I haven't really picked up since then, is the Wingman. And
Man,
I'm
yeah.
curious to pick that back up and see how it feels because I mean,
Mhm.
you hit your shot, you're 45 guaranteed every time. It goes up to 90
Mhm.
something if you get a headshot. So that's one where I do want to test it out and I could add that into the rotation, but the kicker with it right now is that it's in the crafter. So it's like at that point you're just choosing between a car and a wingman. It's like which one am I going to go with? Typically I'll just go with
So
the car.
I just had this thought while we were playing. Um, how much? I'm wondering how much the 30-30 hits for in Apex because it almost just seems like the rifle version of a uh, wingman.
I think you might be
A,
right, but I don't know if it hits as hard to be completely
a
honest.
a charged up headshot with a 30-30 will deal 100. A non-charged headshot will deal 74. A charged up hit to the body will deal 57. And a non-charge will do 42. So it's just charged.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Like
Yeah.
Wingman's just like 45 to the body, which is
And that's like pop,
harder.
pop, pop, pop. Like how much is it to
True.
actually charge it? And are you looking at the 30-30? Because do you charge up the 30-30? I thought it was the triple take that you charge up.
No, you can charge at 30-30.
Oh, see, that goes to show how much I actually use it. I
Yeah,
never
you
pick
never
it up.
pick it up.
Uh,
But it hits hard, man. It's pretty fun to use, actually.
yeah, and that's I mean that's a lot of guns in this game. Is once you get a
Hmm.
feel for it, yeah, you can pretty much compete with any gun that you pick up.
Yeah,
There's some that you just don't that aren't very good. But yeah, Matt just mentioned that the
his
charged
fave.
30-30 is his favorite, which
Hmm.
I've never picked it up, so you can have it if I run into it, Matt.
Well, last note, because we were talking about like popularity going up on Apex. I'm just looking on Twitch
Yeah,
about the top games right now and how many viewers are in each game. Just chatting, 473.
it's always going to be your
Not,
number one.
not surprised by that. Number one, besides that, GTA 5 at 238K.
Pretty much always going to be number two.
Um, Valorant at 3, 132K.
Nice.
And then Apex at 4, 105K. So that's like
Nice.
Fortnite, like 40. That's 40,000 more viewers than Fortnite. God, where's
Warzone's down to 57.8 thousand right now. So it's, I mean, you also have to think about who are the big Call of Duty creators, and I mean, Tim the Tap Man's going to be up there all the time, and he streams on YouTube, so it skews
yeah,
things a little bit.
yeah.
So yeah,
Anyway,
these numbers don't surprise me
interesting.
at all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're gonna continue playing it, and actually, I'm gonna be on the stream after this. So, anybody wanting to watch us actually play, do ranked grind, Kevin will not be on, but
That's my one complaint about Apex.
I will.
Is that it's 3-man squads.
Yeah, that's about it.
So I'm subbing out tonight, but that is a-okay. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you hit that live poll in chat if you haven't yet. Weigh in what you think is a better game, Apex Legends or Warzone. 100% of us have said Apex, so it doesn't really surprise us. We're going to have a poll down in chat for our VOD viewers as well, and be sure to hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, like the video while you're at it, and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you guys all next week, and that's it for now.